Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to fix an A2141 MacBook that's not turning on. According to this customer, this device does not have liquid damage. They claim they have never liquid damaged it, that it just died out of the blue, which is the thing that MacBooks sometimes tend to do. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you may have realized that these are not exactly the best built devices. So we're going to open this thing up and see if we can figure out why it's not turning on, and we're also going to try to figure out if we can make it work again, which is something I was not planning to do today, but my schedule has changed, so I have time to fix a MacBook. So let's go and get into it and have some fun. So in order to actually get started, I need my top camera to work over here, and okay, let's take a look. Now Donald Hanson's in the chat. Donald Hanson says, sure, it has no liquid damage. He don't believe no customer because he's been watching this channel long enough to know that, as Dr. Gregory House on Channel 5 used to say, everybody lies. So let's see if somebody's lying over here. So here we have a MacBook in front of us, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug it in, see what amount of amperage it takes. Of course, we have the battery unplugged because we don't want to see what the battery's taking. We only want to see what the board's taking. And we're going to see what we get. So as you can see, 5 volts, 0.00 amps. Now, let's turn on our multimeter here. Let's get Paul Daniels' software on the... Let's get Paul Daniels' software on the... Let's get Paul Daniels' software on the screen. There we go. Now, one of the things I want to see is... All right. Now, remember, on these newer models, pp-g3 hot actually has to show up before pp3v3_g3 hot shows up. pp3v3_g3 hot _RTC is one of the rails that has to show up earlier. But so the rail structure here is a little different. If you just go looking for pp3v3_g3 hot, you will be doing things in the wrong order. You do need to have your pp-g3 hot present. And as we can see on this board, pp-g3 hot is not present. So if we just take a look at the board view software and the schematic right here on the multimeter, check it out. So we're going to zoom in. You will get to see a list of every single rail. Now, on these schematics, you used to be able to see a list of all the different power rails on page 4 or 5, because that's, one of the first things you want to check for when you have no power. It's one of the most common things that you're looking in the schematic for. But now, you will find that power rail not on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, but on page 80, because that is Apple's way of making things simpler for all of us. So if we take a look on page 80, you'll see all these different power rails that are here, and as is usual, you're not going to see them listed in the actual order that they're supposed to show up on the device, but I'm not salty. It's funny. It's kind of funny. Anyway. And also, they're actually divided now into 2 separate sections. So you have one on page 70-something and another set of power rails on page 117. Anyway, so we have a bunch of rails here, and one of the same things that's true from before is, again, G3 hots, S5s, S4s, S3s, SOs. That same concept still comes here. G3 hot, rails that should always be on. S5, rails that are on when it's off. S4, rails that are on when it's hibernating. S3, rails that are on when it's sleeping. SO, rails that are on when it's on. G3 hot, charge the battery. Should always be charging the battery. Should always have, if the battery is there, it should always be on. S5, rails that are on when the computer is off. S4, rails that are on when it's hibernating. Let's say the keyboard, because you may use something like your keyboard to awake it from hibernation. So if there's a power that's powering the keyboard and the keyboard is going to wake it from hibernation, the keyboard should be powered off of an S4 rail or below. An S3 rail when it's in suspend or sleeping. Something like the RAM, because when you suspend to RAM. SO, that's going to be stuff like your CPU. That's going to be stuff like your display backlight, stuff that's on when the computer's on. So pp-g3 hot over here says that should be 13.1 volts. And as you can see over here, what you get is 0.04 volts. So now what we're going to do is we're going to see if there's a short to ground, because remember, there's always a number of different things that can cause it to happen. The power rail could not be being told to turn on. It could be getting short to ground. It could be trying to turn on, but the chip that enables it is broken. There's many different things that can cause power rail to not be present. So let's see what could potentially be causing this one to not be present. And this one, I am just going to take a wild guess based on experience, is shorted to ground. And what do you know? Look at that, a 10 ohm short to ground. Now, what do you think it is that's shorting it to ground? This is an Apple product, so it definitely wouldn't be the thing that sends voltage to your solid-state drive, which is soldered onto the motherboard, that always dies, right? That wouldn't be it. That definitely wouldn't be it. That wouldn't be the primary failure mode of this $3,000 device. That when it fails, that it sends 13 volts to your NAND and destroys all your data on your soldered and SSD. That is a royal pain in the ass to replace, and even if you could replace it, you need to have access to a pairing tool, which we don't get access to, so we couldn't fix it anyway. That definitely wouldn't be it, right? Well, one way to find out, folks. One way to find out. All right, let's do it. So if we were to go over here, check it out, we are going to see where that little piece of the board is, and I believe that is going to be right over here. Over here. Yeah. PP2P5 NAND SSD1. Yeah, like this. Like right by this TPS62180. So, let's see. I'm confident that's not going to be the way that this always fails. That's not going to be what happened here. So let's just see. We do this. We do PP bus G3 hot. PP bus G3 hot to NAND. And there is 6 ohms of resistance between a 2.7 volt power rail for the SSD and the 13 volt rail for, well, the mains of the computer. Okay, so what are we in for here? So let's turn on the microscope camera and see what it looks like under there, shall we? Let's take a look. Let's open this up. Let's turn on my microscope camera and take a look at what this beautiful Apple product has done to itself. Was it liquid damage, or was it just randomly something that happened because Apple? So if we take a look over here, you will see the standard failure mode on this piece of garbage, which is the TPS62180 has exploded. Yes, that is the chip responsible for powering your SSD, and yes, that in the bottom right corner there is brown. I'm not sure if that will come out because the white balance on this is set by somebody who hasn't really learned how to use a camera in spite of being on YouTube for 10 effing years, but that is not the way this is supposed to look. I'm going to take a wild guess that when that is removed from the board, that my short on PP G3 hot goes away. Now, the problem is this. If the machine shut down before it sent 12 volts to the SSD, we're good. If PP G3 hot shut down after 13 volts went to the SSD, we're fucked. Because I can't replace that SSD. And even if I could, it's not financially viable to do so. And even if I could, or it was financially viable to do so, this person wants their information, which is on that SSD that Apple sent to 13 volts to. So we're still going to give it a shot. We're still going to give it a shot. Because we believe that we're miracle workers here. We're arrogant technicians. We believe that we can fix everything, which explains most of my relationships with women. So we're going to get into this and see if we can figure this out. And let's see if we can just get something that does not have a question mark folder on it. Now, do keep in mind that I'm not going to want to just, burn and boil this over here. We got a speaker over here. We have other stuff in the case. We got a lithium-ion battery. If I were really feeling high and hot, what I would do is I would try to solder that without removing this particular piece over here. But again, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling like I'm going to try to do that. So I'm going to take the board out of the case. Now, this is, admittedly, it is kind of like a waste of time. This is one of those things that is 99% a waste of time. Because, again, I'm taking the board out of the case for something where there's a good argument to be made that 13 volts went to the SSD. But, again, we want to go the extra mile for our customers here at Rossmann Repair Group. When you have a no-fix, no-fee business model where you don't charge the customer when the repair attempt is not successful, you definitely want to go the extra mile on jobs where it's 99% certain that the SSD was completely fried when you can't replace it. I feel a case of the sideshow Bob's coming on here. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's open this machine up. Let's get this thing open and let's see if we can make this machine work again. And also, let's see if there's any sign of liquid. And Apple told this person there was liquid in here. I call complete bullshit because I don't see any liquid in here. On their own liquid damage sensors that wind up tripping and turning colors based on humidity have not even tripped. So there's really no argument to be made here. And again, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but from what you saw under that microscope, did you see any liquid damage there? I'm fairly certain that when we take that BGA chip off the board, you are not going to see a single piece of liquid damage under that. You're just going to see that it blew itself up. But one way to confirm, one way to find out, one way to see for sure, folks, all right? All right. We're almost there. Are you excited? We just got a couple of screws left to take out of this thing, and we are going to be ready to replace that TPS62180 with a fresh TPS62180 that you can get on store.rossmanngroup.com. You can always get a fresh TPS62180 on store.rossmanngroup.com. That's store.rossmanngroup.com. Don't delay. Waste your time buying a chip that 99% of the time will be useless because the old one sent 13 volts to your SSD today. And okay. Almost there. Just got a couple more things that we gotta tweeze out here. Nice try. By the way, when you drop anything, do not look for what it is you dropped. That is a mistake. Never look for what you dropped. Listen for it. You're not going to be able to see it, but you will be able to hear it. See, the looking only works if you see it, but if you miss seeing it, then you'll have no clue. Whereas if you listen for where something dropped, you will be able to tell where it dropped to. Our ears are very much tuned to be able to hear phasing differences and to be able to locate where something is. It's why I think people can be, what's the word I'm looking for here? They can be sensitive to speakers that are really badly phase incoherent when it comes to loudspeakers. Because your ears are not just made for frequency response. They are made for phase. They are made to tell, is the lion to my left or to my right? Because the people that did not know if the lion was to their left or to their right did not make it. Whereas the people that could tell whether the lion was to their left or to their right tended to be the people that made it. Oh, God. Is that a security Torx? No way. Oh, wait, never mind. That's a capacitor. I thought that was a security Torx, but there was actually a capacitor on the end of my screwdriver. Okay, that was kind of funny. So if you drop something, always listen for it. Don't look for it. You'll be able to find it that way. If you look for it and you can't see it, you'll never find it. It's how I avoid losing screws and little connectors and little things. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm going to drop things. Hell, sometimes dropping things is a good thing. I watch Linus from time to time. I know how to be successful. But in all seriousness, always listen. Listen. Don't look. Okay. Also, I usually prefer to take the machine out with the USB-C ports still on it. It is possible to do without damaging anything. It's really annoying when you want to, plug the USB-C port in and this thing is, because you unscrewed it, the little connector pops out. It's really, really aggravating. So I like to keep that on the machine. Okay. So many little things. Be very careful. Don't just try to rip the board out of the machine. You never know. So many little things that are glued and adhesed and little flex cables and they're everywhere. You just slowly loosen, slowly come up this way. Because again, you're not always going to be perfect. You may miss something. Like let's say if you haven't done a board repair on camera in a while. So when that happens, you want to just slowly go up. And if you're opening a new device, especially if you're opening a new device, that's going to come in handy because when you're opening something new and you're not used to it, again, just having these little tactics that make it less likely that you're going to break something and slowly up. So this way, ideally, you wouldn't miss anything. You would notice that little flex cable was still plugged in there, or that this was plugged in there. But again, if you're missing it, slowly going up. Even if you do wind up forgetting to take something out, you will not rip anything that way. And that is very, very important. You do not want to rip anything. It is bad to rip things. You always want to avoid that. Because the thing is, as I say, and everybody's human. Everybody's going to make a mistake. Everybody's going to screw something up. But you want to have procedures in place so that when you do screw something up, you waste 10 seconds of your time rather than breaking something that does not belong to you. Make procedures that work for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to remove that old chip and we are going to solder on a new one from store.rossmanngroup.com. Did I say that you could buy this chip on store.rossmanngroup.com? Because if you wanted to buy a TPS62180 chip for this, you would be able to buy it on store.rossmanngroup.com. Store.rossmanngroup.com. That's right, folks. You could also get the hot air station on store.rossmanngroup.com. Oh, okay. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Okay. You all excited to fix this MacBook on a Saturday night? That's right. You guys had better be excited for you fixing a MacBook on Saturday night. Okay, 5, 4, 3, and it's off. And as you can see, there is no liquid under that chip. You are full of shit, Apple. Absolutely 110% full of shit. As... Jesus Christ. 10 years incoming now. Because you guys know when there's liquid under the chip, you can see it. You got that nice little green spot there. You got a green spot there. And there's no green spot here. There's no nothing. There's no mark. That's that bullshit. That's that absolute bullshit. Okay, so what I need to do, first thing I gotta do is realize that my hand is much jittier now than before I quit board repair, and be careful not to do shit like that. My mistake, that was no good. That was... I got a little... Main thing I gotta do is get rid of this old solder there. Okay. And okay, now just to make sure I got the orientation of the chip properly. Like this. We're going to get another chip and solder it on there. All right. Be right back. I should have grabbed the chip before I started, but I did not. That's my fault. That's nobody's fault but my own. Many things are nobody's fault but my own. Many things are nobody's fault but my own. Okay, what slot do we got this chip in? ZD4. Be right back. We got this in ZD4. Let's go to ZD4 and get ourselves a chip. David, are you excited? I'm going to get data. I'm not going to get a question mark folder this time. Here we go. This is going to be beautiful. Also, you know what would be a really smart thing to do that I probably won't do? There's a lot of smart things that I don't do. What I should probably do is I should measure and make sure that my short is gone before soldering a new chip on. Yeah, that would be a smart thing to do. But I don't often do smart things. I do stupid things. I've actually done a lot of stupid things in the past week. That's the spice of life, though. That's the spice of life. Okay, so this is my chip. Okay, so the orientation of my chip is going to be this, opposite of what I put it on the board. Now, before I solder this, I got to make sure that my short is gone, right? Because what if something else is destroyed other than this, and I wind up going down a rabbit hole and wasting a whole hell of time? Can't do that. So let's put the multimeter back on. Yeah, got a multimeter back on. Okay, and what do we have here? We have... What? What? Really? Yo. Okay, is PP bus still shorted? Okay, the PP bus short has been relieved. So PP bus G3 hot is not shorted. However, the NAND is absolutely fucked, which is 110% what you would expect when your NAND gets 13 volts. When your NAND gets 13 volts, it gets destroyed. The SSD does not like 13 volts, and this is an unfortunate reality that so many of these machines die in that particular way. The A2141 is very famous for this particular failure. It probably happens to a lot of you. Many people in other repair shops are probably very, very familiar with this. When you have a 16-inch MacBook Pro that shows up to your store that has a short on PP bus G3 hot, or has just randomly died with no water or no drop or nothing like that, 99% of the time, the TPS62180 that takes PP bus G3 hot at 13 volts and turns it into 2.7 volts for the SSD has sent 13 volts into your SSD, blown up, killed all the data in the computer, and you're screwed. This ain't my day. Oh, this is not my day. My date canceled on me and said they made a mistake by agreeing to go out with me. A lobbyist called from one of the states I'm trying to get a bill passed in and said I have zero chance of getting anything passed, but since I have a contract with them for the next 3 months, I got to keep paying them even though I have nothing for them to do. And this board is dead, and I have no data. So here's what I'm going to do. I can't tell you what to do, and frankly, you shouldn't listen to me when I tell you what to do, because I'm not even telling you what to do, and you definitely shouldn't look after what I tell you to do. Here's what I'm going to do with my Saturday night. I'm going to find myself some Everclear and a bottle of Fireball, and I'm going to start over again tomorrow. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.